Hello everybody. My name is Daniela Solomon. I am welcome you to STEMIG webinars this fall. It's Step Up Your Screencast. We are all doing this fall. It's a topic of interest to everybody. And we have two STEM librarians presenting today. The first one, in order of their presentation, is Nathaniel Davis, who is the STEM business faculty librarian at Cedarville University, serving as a liaison to the schools of business administration, engineering and computer science, and science and mathematics. Nathaniel holds a bachelor in biology, a master's in environmental science, and is currently studying for his master in information system degree at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. This is his second year serving as an academic librarian, and prior to his time at Cedarville University, he was a full-time instructor at Northwest Indian College, a land-grant tribal college in the Pacific Northwest. The second presenter is Zach Sharrow. Zach is also co-chair of STEMIG. He is the science librarian at the College of Worcester, and his videos on Boolean operators and scholarly versus popular sources on YouTube have each over 100,000 views on, which he's very proud, you can see. Okay, the webinar is being recorded, and we are going to make the recording and the PowerPoint available on the ALAO STEMIG web page. So please, Nathaniel, you can take it away.
All right. Thank you, Daniela. I appreciate it. So I'm excited to be sharing with you guys today. Just a few things up front. Feel free to ask questions. Pause me at any moment and ask if you see something. Hey, can you explain that again? Feel free to do that. Also add to the chat. Daniela will be looking at that. And if there's a question that comes up, she'll try to stop me or decide which one at the end of the presentation, or we'll answer it. Also, just a quick note, we've been having some issues with Zoom here where I am. So please feel free to not be alarmed if I drop out. So we're gonna make sure this works, and we'll go from here. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll start our presentation. All right, so today our objective is to really introduce you to some things you may know or not know, but really around video creation, specifically using screen capture tools. We're gonna give an overview of several different tools. I'm going to start with ones that are quick and easy to use, but have limitations, and then work broader to what we're currently using at Cedarville University. So again, feel free to pause and ask questions, and I will gladly answer them as I go. All right, so let's take a start. The first one I want to introduce to you, some of you might be familiar with TechSmith. It's a very simple tool. TechSmith has quite a few different products that they create, but one of them comes to us that's free. It's called TechSmith's Capture. It used to be called Jing. So if you're formerly known as Jing, if you're not familiar with that, very simple, easy tool. It's free to use. It's a quick download. The upgraded version of that is called Snagit. In fact, Capture is hard to find. It's not promoted by TechSmith, I think, because it's free. They want you to go to that upgraded version. But even the tool like Snagit and Camtasia, which Zach is going to be talking about later, they're one-time purchase tools that you can get that are pretty affordable, and they make creating videos a lot easier to do, manage, and even share broadly. Okay. Another thing about TechSmith that's very important here is Screencast. One of their products is called Screencast. It's a host. So when you create a video using Capture or Snagit, then that needs a place for that video to go and to be managed. And Screencast is what they use to do that. Okay. And of course, each of these is, again, available pretty quickly from TechSmith's website. But you can see on the featuring side here, it's simple, quick video capturing. It's limited in the range in which you can make a video. And of course, then store and manage that content. So as you upgrade, of course, you're going to be able to increase your options with what you can do with TechSmith. Again, I mentioned Snagit. Again, this is the upgraded version of these things. But in terms of Capture, it has at least two components that are going to be vital to you. And this is, again, the free tool. So Capture is the free tool. Snagit is the upgraded version of Capture. It's a quick setup and easy to use, but it has that all-in-one capture. And I'm going to show you how it works and what it looks like. You can also trial these. So if you want to know more about them and just kind of get a feel for what they're like, and if you would be able to use it on a regular basis, try their free trial. It's again, it's a nice way to get started and and cut your teeth and not feel like you're being overwhelmed, especially if editing and creating video is not easy or is unfamiliar to you. Again, I really appreciate TechSmith for their simplicity and the broad range of elements that can be done for creating a video. The easier such tasks can be done to create video content, short, small content, tutorials, the better. So these are the kinds of tools that I like sharing. But particularly for Capture, the all-in-one Capture and the screen recorder are the two key features that it has. Beyond that, it is very limited. Again, Capture being the free tool and Snagit the upgrade. So let's take a look at Capture. So with Capture, you can find it, so techsmith.com/Jing tool. Again, I think it's not widely found. In fact, when I did a Google search, it was like the 5th one down on their list. They're trying to promote their other tools further. But if you want the free Capture tool, it's very easy to set up. Just simply go to the link, go to the free download, the setup.exe, make sure that's clicked. And next thing you'll know, you'll see a little Capture tool here with this big red button. It used to be like a sun, like an image of the sun at the top of your screen. Now it's a dialog box that looks like this. There's a big red button here. Once you've done that, then you can start utilizing. When you click on that red button, what comes up is this range finding tool. You go to the screen that you want to get to, you click and drag, and it starts to show you how many pixels are being put out. You can also choose the full screen, again, so it widens to the full screen, or you can just hone in on a specific place that you want to have or capture an image and or video. And then once you've clicked on that space, you'll see a bar that comes up. It looks something like this. You've outlined your range of where you want to take the video. At the bottom here, I'll bring this a little larger. You can choose either to click on the camera here for an image, and you can edit that image. I love the editing tools for Capture. You can simply put in arrows or boxes or any number of things, text as well. But in this case, we're going to use the video feature. One thing with Capture, there is no limit. I double checked this and checked it again. They say that there's no limit. I've not tested how far you can go with it, but you can go in terms of how much video you want to create within several hours, at least that they've said. So we're going to look at the video capture piece here. Again, keep in mind that Capture, TechSmith's Capture tool is very simple. It's not meant to be complex or overly difficult. Again, that makes it easy to use, but also limits what you can do in the video side of things. So when you click on the video icon, again, you can start creating a video. It allows you to pull up some options. You can see my smiling face there. It asks you, do you want to turn your camera on? You can check your volume and whether the microphone is muted or not muted. And again, simple basic features. Click the red button and you're starting. Now here's again something to remember with screen capture. So with the capture tool, you're only limited to what that original range was designated. So in this case, it was 1778 by 836. I can't move within that space. I can't navigate and my video content to another, say another web page. It's stuck to just that range, that space. So this tool is really meant for short videos, talking about very specific content in a static space. It's not as dynamic as other tools that we'll be looking at. Once it's done, you press pause and you move on to the editing side of things. You get a preview of what you saw, so you can look at your whole video, and then within that preview, then you can upload. Remember, with TechSmith, you have to have a hosting space, and their hosting space is called Screencasts, so TechSmith Screencast. It is free, but when it creates your video, it's going to send it to, so you have a link, it's going to send it to Screencast. So if you don't have Screencast up, you're not going to be able to manage that video content. So make sure you have also downloaded Screencast. Again, that's going to be one of the things that you need to look at. It is free, So it has limited options for Screencast, the free version, but you get a fair amount of storage. However, keep in mind when you create a video, these storage is going to be, you're going to max that capacity very quickly, right? The video content is usually in several gigabytes. You can get to that pretty quickly. So definitely download Screencasts, use Capture to find and use quick videos. Again, Zach and I were talking about this. He uses it primarily for just a quick, hey, this is how I would manage the screen and use these features, and then quick send that off to a student, right? So this is meant for that quick capture, but static space isn't dynamic, but it's easy to work with and easy to manage.
Nathaniel, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Can these videos be downloaded from the Screencast account and host them somewhere else, or?
Yes, that's right. That's correct. So so when you look at Screensmith's Capture, what it does is that when it creates that video, and this is only for the video. So if you're using Capture for just the images, you can grab those and save them, and you can manage them however you want in your own internal hardware. Okay, so you can put it on your different drives or even upload it to Google Drive. But for the video content, it has to be hosted through Screencast. Okay, so it's very important that you remember if you're creating small, simple videos, you need to make sure that you have this available. Now, the link allows others to go to that and see it. I haven't tested the video as much to know what flexibility they have to be able to see that video, but this quick link, this permalink, allows them to see that video. But Screencast is necessary for that process. Okay, so again, this is free, but stepping up, there's a cost to that. Is there any questions beyond? Thank you, Daniela. That was a good question. Beyond that?
No, not so far.
All right. Well, let's keep stepping. Let's keep going. The next one I really want to introduce here is maybe something you know about or don't know about, but probably have access to. Within Microsoft Office, Office 365, most institutions of higher education have access to more apps than you probably have used before. And most apps you'll probably never use. Right? Most of us are familiar with PowerPoint and Word and many like Excel, but Microsoft Stream comes as a part of that group of apps that come with Office 365. So I encourage you to look for it. Microsoft Stream is very easy to use. It has a lot greater capacity in terms of editing and allows you to manage content for greater use, especially in educational spaces. Okay. Now, again, just like before, like Screencast, you also for Office 365 need to be a subscriber. You need to have this somewhere. So if you have access to it, you probably have access through it, your institution. I found out from our institution that even though I'm using Office 365, I need to inform the IT office, hey, I'd like to use Microsoft Stream, which we do have, and just let them know that I need that extended permission. Because once you log in, when you go to office.com, you'll have to be authenticated that you have access to it, right? So these are all cloud-based applications. So I need to be authenticated that yes, through my institution, I have access to Microsoft Stream. So again, that's at office.com, and you may have to, and you can see what applications you have access to, and Stream should be one of them. So look for all of them. This is the interface that Microsoft Stream has once you're in there. If you've never used it, it says welcome back, Nathaniel. I've clearly used this before. And the places that you'll be, especially when it comes to the homepage, is under content, my content. The videos that you put in there, either you create or you can use Microsoft Stream to store and add videos to, okay? So when I look at my videos, I can see my library of videos. So this is the video library interface. We've been making videos recently regarding Zotero. I've done some test recording. We did 2 modules recently in the research process. You can see my quick screen recording for this particular presentation now. So the interface is very simple, also easy to use, but there's a lot more features here that we need to understand and go through. From the library, you can share with many other individuals. You can edit different elements regarding these, but these are videos I've already created. So I'm going to walk you through the process of creating and then how you would manage content after. So to create, you go back to the home page under the create button. You just want to record your screen. So again, that gives you the quick feature of doing just the same things we've done before, where we're screencasting and opening up our screen. In this case, we get to choose which screen we want. We can choose our camera and audio options, of course, where those images are going, but you can navigate within this screen. Instead of being a static space, now it's a dynamic space. You can open up multiple tabs within a web browser and go from one tab to the next, and you can navigate to presentations and other elements, but it does limit you to one screen. So right now I'm using a dual monitor. If I had it on my other screen, I'd have to bring it over to that screen where it's being recorded. When you click on the icon button for recording, it'll give you that countdown, just like most screen captures do, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I find that a little ominous. I kind of like take a deep breath before then. Just as a tip, give yourself a few moments after it gets to 0 count, pause for a moment. So you have that space of editing of time, it's open, right? And then start your recording and start looking through this. Many of our faculty use this to record lectures and quickly send it off and manage content. So it's very valuable. Within this space, again, you have to choose your screen. You can choose an application. So if it's not just a web browser or a specific screen you want to do a video of, you can also choose different applications, or in this case, connection to Chrome, and use different tabs within the Chrome space as well. Once you start recording, you'll see a countdown. It'll minimize in the bottom right corner. It'll tell you how long things are going. Recognize that it gives you 15 minutes as a moderate timeline to move through. Your recording can be longer than that, but the 15 minutes is just kind of a, most people stop watching after a certain period kind of deal. But you can always stop, pause, and restart, right? These recordings are meant to be simple. If I'm honest, as I'm making a video, I'll probably take 5, 10, 15 times to make a longer video. And usually if I don't have a script in front of me to kind of keep me on track, I'll usually miss something. So that's also very helpful. If you know what you're going to be talking about, have that content either up on another screen next to you or in front of you as kind of a means to keep going. Remember, you don't always have to have your video up. In this video recording, I have my video down in the bottom right corner. You can just record your audio and your screen. So you can choose which feature you want to use. You don't have to use all 3 features, video, audio, and the screen, okay? And then you simply upload it and edit. Again, you can always record as well. The upload fashion, it wants you to give a name, maybe a little description, of course, choose your language. There's this option here, especially within in this higher education setting, who's going to be viewing this. That's up to you, and you get to choose how that video is processed and who's going to be viewing it. But I usually uncheck that box first and then manage the share options later. I publish the video. One thing I also want to keep in mind here that I think it's important, you can publish the videos that goes to Microsoft Stream library, but you can also save a video directly to a file on your computer if you want to do that. Okay, you can do that at this point. Once you publish, then with that saved video file, you can either add that to your drive box, or you publish and move on. And once that comes up, it'll take you right back to Microsoft Stream home office, and then now you can manage it. You can update the video details, make it shareable. There are interactive elements, strong editorial tools that you can use, such as the trim tool. I'm going to look at updating the video real quick. You can, again, change the language, the descriptions, those kind of things. Again, you can share permissions. Again, these are options I typically apply later rather than letting it auto-generate those permissions. One thing I really want you to remember, whenever you make changes, you need to select apply. Because oftentimes people will make the changes and then just close out, and those changes that you just made will not apply. So if you don't apply, then you're not going to get those changes added to or applied to your video. Another thing that's very important in terms of accessibility, right? We want to make sure those closed captions are available. So you can auto-generate those captions. Simply select auto-generate in that box. And make certain that it creates a file for you to use and even edit that transcription that comes with that accessibility CC. Once that's done, you'll see what comes up, especially when you auto-generate, you'll see a whole transcript. Microsoft does a great job of navigating through your video and showing you, I'm guessing it's an algorithm that says, hey, their voice, these words, and it transcribes them on the side. You can edit those simply by clicking on the pencil on the right side, and you can edit line by line by line. And you can choose where it goes in the timeline, and it's a quick, simple edit feature. Once you make an edit, just make sure again to apply and save that. Another great feature, of course, is trimming the video, being able to manage the elements within it. We want to make sure that we are able to see and manage content, right? I might make a video where I pause, and then there's a section in there where maybe I fumbled with my words. I want to be able to trim that out. So you have the option then also to trim and cut and then save those features. Again, apply. I can't tell you how many people have gone through this process of trimming and taking out and chopping different parts and pieces, getting it just right, only to close out or move to another screen and it not apply those changes. Okay. Once that's done, one thing I really love about Microsoft Stream is its interactivity options here, where you can create a form like a poll or a quiz that can be implemented right into your video. So you've probably seen this before, maybe not. Students see this a lot more now, where a video is going through, and as part of a quiz on their viewing of this video, 3 or 4 times throughout the video, they come to a quiz question. Based on what you just saw in the last 2 minutes, answer this question. And you can do that throughout. And our faculty really like that option to be able to add those elements within the video. You just simply either create it yourself or from one that's pre-created from a URL. You can name it and where you want to put it, the position in the timeline that you want to add it. Then you simply add it, it'll drop it in, and the video won't continue playing until that question is answered, which is very valuable, especially for institutions who use Canvas or other learning management systems that want to have a graded quiz that's associated with it, okay? So they'll recognize that those quiz questions are in there, and that's for another topic, but if you want to learn how to do all that. But this is where you would start with that interactivity. So this is where you would manage the video you created and add those elements of interactivity within that video. We used this feature when we did our new student orientation for students to get what we gave them candy bars and other incentives, but they had to go through this quiz feature within the videos for their orientation this year. Any questions before I move?
Yes, we have a comment from Zach.
Sure, go ahead.
Microsoft Stream's automatic transcription is very good and editing is easy. And we have a question for the screencast.
Okay, sure.
Is the screencast storage the same for the full Snagit program?
Ask that one more time. I don't think I heard that well enough.
Is the screencast storage the same for the full Snagit program?
So no, as far as I know, so with the screencast, Screencast works with all of the other TechSmith tools. So Snagit is the $50 one-time purchase. Snagit has all the other editing features and elements, and so they work hand in hand. So that Screencast is just the host base. Snagit goes out and you can utilize it just like your capture tool to capture images or video, and then it'll allow you to do more features in terms of trimming, be more dynamic in the space to be able to navigate that capture does not. Did I answer that question well enough?
Probably. And we have another question. What kind of format it can be saved?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, with the capture tool, it's proprietary, it's in-house. So I think it's a WDM. I'm trying to think of so it's not an MP4, and there are other standards that are given. But when you get into Snagit and Camtasia, which is going to be talked about later, you'll be able to save and edit and download, if you will, into other formats, like an MP4.
Okay, we have an answer to the storage question.
Oh, great, good.
I was interested in storage amount for Snagit.
Okay, so I'm less familiar with Snagit. I wish I had more information on it, but within that space, I know that when you purchase Snagit, what it does is it allows you to, so you're not purchasing cloud storage. So within Snagit, remember Screencasts, Snagit is the tool and Screencast is the hosting space. So depending on what you purchase, what level of Screencast you purchase, whether it's the free version, you only have up to, I think it was 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes. But if you purchase a monthly larger cloud storage, then you can, of course, have greater capacity for storing. Otherwise, that content has to go to an outside storage space. So you have to download your videos and host them from your own hardware in your own office or elsewhere. So really the Screencast is a place where the video content stays. And when you max out of that capacity for storage, beyond the free, you have to either buy up or take out video content so you still have space.
And we have another question about Stream.
Sure.
How well do the embedded quizzes meet accessibility guidelines? Yeah,
that's really great. So we have found that Stream does a good job. Every tool has its limitations, and as much as we have used Stream, faculty are just starting to use it this year. And so as we see it come through, we've hit some issues, but on the whole, I've only heard good things. So whatever issues have come through, we've had some that don't always marry well. Like we might have created a form and want to drop it in there, but for some reason that interactivity element didn't work. But once a video is created and published, usually there's no issues thereafter.
Okay, so we can move on, I guess.
Okay, great. Let's talk about Ensemble. Ensemble is a very unique, think of it in a much bigger context. It is a subscription that we have purchased as an institution. It's what we use internally. Ensemble was developed by Syracuse University, and the cost of it is based on the institution, the amount of use, the terms of need, so the FTE, so full-time student counts. So they do a consultation with whoever would be purchasing this. Usually we have it housed in our Center for Teaching and Learning, and our IT folks, they work together to manage Ensemble, the platform. But it has a large number of capacities that we use quite a bit for terms of uploads and management with our LMS, so Canvas. Again, it creates those video quizzes, screen capture, especially useful for lectures. And so the broader depth and the specific higher education application of Ensemble was something that our institution decided to jump into and utilize as its means to allow our faculty to create lectures quickly and have that seamless interaction with Canvas so that we weren't behind. We knew we had a working, usable tool that's been around for a while that was specifically geared towards higher education. Okay, so our faculty are mandated to utilize this right now. So if they're putting together lectures in a normal space for that hybrid flex course that we're creating for a student who happens to have to be out or have to leave because of COVID or other issues, now they have all of their lectures that are still available through the LMS and are online, right? Again, all the various features, I'm not going to cover each of these, but it has a broad scope in terms of what it can do. You can do live captures if you want to do it right from your classroom. You can utilize it from your mobile app, which is one thing we really like. The Chrome recorder is something again, internally, we have many of so we have our email, and a lot of our connections are through Google, so Google Suite. So having that intercompatibility with Chrome makes it very helpful. Screen capture, live stream, all of these elements really help with our faculty in being able to engage the classroom space and allow them and ourselves as librarians to reach the students where they are with good media and not overly difficult tools to make that happen. So from the platform interface, this is for Cedarville University. So we have an interface called media.cedarville.edu. And this is the media library that I created for myself. So at the top, you'll see Cedarville, next to it faculty, then Nathaniel Davis. I can look at other libraries that have been created for maybe our Centennial Library, for the science department. So there are multiple libraries managed within this entire platform, okay? I have a personal library as well as access to other media libraries that might be useful from various places. Again, this is a larger service that we purchased that allows us to a lot of flexibility to share content and move content, store it, and have a system of recall for a lot of this content as we record it, and of course, utilize it again for future efforts in higher education. Okay. From this space, you'll see quite a bit. So on the left side, you'll see under the Cedarville University, My Media Library, how to share. I can create playlists inside of this. One way in which I've used a playlist, we have last spring, we had the research symposium and scholarship symposium. And my job as the librarian for the science department was to manage all of the videos that senior students would normally be giving in person. Now they're uploading videos specifically for a virtual space. So that playlist came in handy to not only manage that, but then embed it again through our virtual interactive space in Canvas. So that was very helpful. The fact that that interoperability between Canvas and Ensemble was very valuable. All right, so if I want to record, well, first off, one thing that comes with this, so there's the record button here, add, transfer. The key here is you need, again, the tool that goes out and does the work in capturing the video. And that tool is called Anthem. So Ensemble Video has the platform, that's the hosting space, and Ensemble Anthem is the screen capture, right? So we got to make sure you have that uploaded. It's very simple again. And then from your media library, you just press record and it'll ask you several key features here. Right away from recording, your options are to, like before, do you want to just use your screen and audio, all three, or just your voice? How do you want to engage in this capturing of media content, right? And then of course, that's under the record tab there. Under the settings, you can change quite a bit more. Choose what device you're using. If you want the quality of this video to be higher, instead of 480 pixels, maybe it's a larger 720 or other options. You can also create smaller video capacity so as to have less, it's not as large to store, right? It doesn't create as much like gigabytes of information, right? But you still have a good quality video. Where you're recording from, etc. And of course, you can save these features. And then once you're ready to record, then you go to the next step. You press record, and it gives you that quick 3, 2, 1 countdown. I always find 3, 2, 1 is too fast. I wish it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm always constantly saying, wait, stop, pause. I like that pause quick feature. One thing I also appreciate about the recording in Ensemble, it allows you not only to pause, but also to use the drawing elements. I didn't include that in here, and I should have. You can add text, you can use squares, many different shapes, arrows, etc. during your recording. And you can, so if a faculty member is recording a lecture, they can use that draw tool to actually point out, scribble, highlight all of those elements. And then of course, when you're done, you just hit the done feature there, and it takes you to your basic editing. And you have the simple tools here. So the record screen comes up, and you have the trim and chop tool. And this is really important to remember what is the difference, right? When you're looking at trimming and chopping, you want to make sure you're not excising something you actually want to keep, okay? Which is nice to be able to interact with this, put your cursor where you want in the thumbnails that are generated, and move that along, slide it along to the exact space where you want to trim and chop. So the difference really is, for trim, you're trimming everything outside of that space. For chop, you're just chopping that space within, right? So everything without and everything within. We've had faculty who were using the trim tool when they should have used the chop tool, and they lost most of their lecture, right? And they only kept 5 minutes of it. So make sure that you understand the difference between the two. Again, trim is, I want everything within this space, and I want to keep just that, or chop everything out, just with outside of the space. And you can do this multiple times along that video narrative, right? It's not just a one-time trim and you're done. You can trim at multiple spaces along that video content line. Then of course, as you add elements here, the titles and features, they give some pre-assigned titles, so credits and different things that you can add up there. I like to use the custom image. The custom image itself allows me to put in what we have institutionally pre-made, headings and titles for Cedarville University, its logo, all those elements. So that custom image allows me to drop that in quickly, and it puts it at the beginning and end, as well as to be able to title it so students or faculty know exactly what they're engaging with and where it came from. All right. And then, of course, like all good features, make sure you apply. If you don't apply what you just made changes for, you're going to shoot yourself later, because all that hard work you put into editing is not applied to this work. So make sure you apply and then done. This is where you title it, name it, and then you quickly upload it. Notice that you can also go back and preview. Most editing tools I've used, at least the two that I've introduced to you, it's hard to go back and then edit or preview again. So that tool is nice to be able to use. Once you've uploaded, it'll go right back to the hosting space and Ensemble Video. So Anthem did all the work in capturing, you edited through Anthem, and then now you came back to the media library in Ensemble Video. All right. From Ensemble Video, again, I think I'm going way over my time here. I'm going to quickly go through here. You have options to manage. You have spaces where you can upload new content. You can notice the tabs at the top here. Create a new thumbnail. You can add in accessibility, see your closed captioning, and there's so much here that you can do. Okay, so keep in mind all of those elements and manage each one of those. I love those features, and I think the last thing I'm going to show you here is the screen capture for closed captioning. We've had some interesting, so just like in Stream, you can edit the transcript. Here they use Amara to edit that transcript. It's a very unique and very strong tool that is nicely associated with this. But you can also upload a VTT file, which is a transcript file from Stream if you wanted to. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, okay. Any questions? I apologize, Zach, I've kind of stolen your time here.
No questions, Nathaniel. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing here.
Zach?
All right. Hi. No worries, Nathaniel. I think I got it. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and start doing my own screen sharing here. Bear with me for a second. My interface in Zoom is a little bit weird. All right, here we go. Great. So I'm going to cover a couple of other video capture tools, and then I'm going to go through a couple of tips and tricks for something that's kind of important for me, and we'll find out what that is later. So Nathaniel mentioned TechSmith's, is it just called Capture now? I'm definitely familiar with it as having been called Jing.
Yes, yeah.
And Snagit.
I don't know if they acquired Jing or what it was, but they call it Capture now, which confuses so many people. You get this little email that says, hey, no longer calling it Jing, and it's not going to be on your computer anymore. If you want it, you got to go here. So, I love this tool. I can't tell you how much I use that tool. So anyway, keep going. So
the product that is kind of the Cadillac of TechSmith's offerings is Camtasia. Camtasia is, in addition to being a screen capture program, it is essentially a full-featured video editor. Excuse me. Oh, my throat got dry the instant I started speaking. TechSmith, Camtasia excels at creating really polished final products. You can do a lot of pro-level things like zooming in on one particular piece of the screen, panning across windows, inserting little callouts that highlight one specific section of the video screen, or that dim everything except for what you want to call people's attention to, little drawings that pop up and sort of circle or highlight things that you want to call attention to. The downside to that is that there's a learning curve, obviously, to make the best use out of everything that it can do. And Camtasia is expensive. An individual license is $250 for a one-time purchase. There's an education discount that brings that down somewhat, but that will only get you upgrades for, I think, 1 or 2 years. So you can see the screenshot that I have here is of the version of Camtasia that I currently have, which is a little bit out of date now, unfortunately. But I can show you a little bit about what that looks like live. So you can see here, the workflow is essentially to, there's a separate interface for doing a recording, an actual screen capture, which works almost identically to everything that Nathaniel demoed, where you'll select the size of the screen you want to capture, hit a button, it'll count in, and then you can kind of go about your business and hit stop when you're finished. And then it will dump you into the editor, which will give you separate bits of files, including the captures that you just made. And you can import other things like audio, other video files, images, anything that might be an element of your presentation. This is kind of like an iMovie-like interface, right? So down at the bottom of the screen, you'll have multiple tracks that overlay on one another, and that have clips within them. And you'll drag and drop clips from your clip bin at the top down into these timelines in order to arrange them. So you can see here I have my voiceover, which I recorded separately for this video, the screen capture itself, and I did 2 captures and sort of stitched them together in order to make everything work the way I wanted it to and look good. And you can see I've also added some title screens in here. This is a PowerPoint presentation that I just created and screen captured to make it kind of like a little animation. And then I've also added some background music to keep things a little bit lively and interesting. It's important if you're doing would be referred to as bed music, which just is background to kind of talking, to keep that volume nice and low so that you're not distracting folks and you're only enhancing the presentation. But there's a lot going on here, and this can be an intimidating tool to use if you're not accustomed to using this kind of thing. But it's full featured. I've used this to edit videos that have nothing to do with screen capture because it's a tool that I have on my computer, right? You can share these to Screencast, just like you can with Snagit and Capture, or you can export to your local machine. And from there, upload to YouTube, Microsoft Stream, Ensemble, whatever it happens to be. A simpler option that's a little bit faster and more lightweight, and that I know at least one person who registered for the webinar said they're using, is called Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic is a tool that's been around for a little while. I've been a user for the better part of a decade now. I really love it for quick and easy screenshots and short videos. Screencast-O-Matic is essentially the same product category as Snagit from TechSmith, but it's made by a separate company. The workflow is a lot simpler than Camtasia. It's more similar to the kinds of things that Nathaniel was demoing. And importantly, there's a free version that is kind of unlimited. The only major limits to the free version is that you can't record longer than 15 minutes. You probably don't want to be recording a single video for longer than 15 minutes anyway, so that's not much of a limitation. The paid version does unlock some extra editing features and gives you access to a music library that you can just use from right inside the interface to add music to your video. It is about $20 a year. So it's a subscription, so you do pay it every year, but the team does make frequent updates, and the program, in the time that I've been using it, has come a really long way, particularly in the last few versions, which have been released in the last year or so. It's become a lot faster. It's become a lot easier to use. And in particular, the screenshot tool is tremendously useful now. It's simple to capture any arbitrary size on the screen or to just click inside of a window that you want to share, and it will immediately copy that to the clipboard, so you can just paste it wherever you want it to go without having to worry about fiddling with buttons. Because it's a little bit more focused on being quick and easy to use, obviously the limitation for Screencast-O-Matic is that the editing features are limited. It can do some stuff, but you can see here it uses the similar kind of single timeline. And as I scrub through my video, you can see where I've been speaking and where there's silence. There's a number of tools underneath the menu here, and the way to add them is to kind of just choose what you want. You can overlay different kinds of things, arrows, highlights. You can insert clips, you can trim, you can cut, right? And as you start adding things, it will give you a time range of where you want that. So I could add, for example, an arrow here pointing to something on the screen, and that'll be reflected with a fade in and out on the timeline. The thing that becomes challenging with Screencast-O-Matic is if you're trying to do multiple things at once. Let's say I want to have an arrow here and I want to have a highlight somewhere else. They all kind of live on the same timeline. And you can't really easily do more than one thing at the same time. So if I were to highlight a section of my screen. Now you can see I've got two different things happening during this overlap. And it becomes very tricky to actually manage all of this at once because you only have the one timeline, as opposed to something like Camtasia where you have multiple places to kind of store those kinds of things that you're using. So while it has some features that more advanced, more expensive options might have, they become a little bit trickier to use and to manage as you get into doing more with them. The last one I want to mention is kind of an honorable mention. It is not designed for screen capture. It's designed for live streaming. So OBS Studio is a free and open source piece of software that, if you're familiar at all with the phenomenon of Twitch streamers, video game streaming, or other kinds of live streaming events, it's actually used by a lot of those folks. It is, again, it's designed for live streaming, but it can record as well. So you can set it up to record to your computer. I need to pause my video for a second while I switch into OBS. So I'll be right back. Hello, I'm very tiny and on the corner now. So I am just getting into, oh, and it changed my settings while I was gone, unfortunately. So the way that OBS Studio works is that I need to actually share my entire screen. Come here. Let me share my screen. All right. There we go. So the way that this works is you'll have multiple windows or items on the screen that you can click and drag to arrange the way you want them. And those live down here in what are called your sources. So you can see I have this caption text, audio coming in through my headset, video from my webcam, and then the video capture of Camtasia itself. And so the powerful option here is that you can actually just easily move things around. You see me swinging around here. And you can set up, these are arranged in a thing called a scene, and you can set up multiple scenes and switch between them just by clicking back and forth. So I can go from kind of floating above Screencast-O-Matic here to floating above Camtasia to just kind of being here in video to showing you my actual screen. And so what you're seeing now is an infinite recursion of the screen of the OBS Studio itself. So that would all be something that you could capture live. Because it's not meant for recording, you would be doing that kind of editing in real time. Of course, you can save that video to a file and then put it in something like Camtasia or iMovie or whatever it is that you happen to be comfortable with if you are a video editor, and then use that to edit the video. That is just a, as I said, kind of an honorable mention. So I'm going to switch back out of OBS. So I'll be stopping my video for a second again. Okay, I'm back. I'll begin sharing my screen. And so what I want to end with is something that is really important to me, and I kind of consider the elephant in the room when it comes to videos and screencasts specifically, and that is audio quality. Nothing turns me off, and I have to imagine I'm not the only one. Nothing turns me off of a video faster, especially a tutorial video, than when the audio is hard to hear, it's too quiet, or it's just poorly recorded, and you hear a lot of breath sounds, or you hear a lot of popping. And it's unfortunately common. You'll run into a ton of videos that are meant to be tutorials or screencasts out there where the video may be great, but the audio quality wasn't attended to as well. So there are 3 places where we can think about having an opportunity to intervene in the audio quality of your videos: in the choice of equipment, during the recording process, and then in post-production. So we're going to step through these kind of one at a time. The main through line for equipment is use the best microphone that you can find. Laptops have built-in microphones. Try to avoid using these if it's at all possible. Because they're built into the same piece of hardware and sitting on the same desk that you're likely to be using to record, you will get tap, tap, tap noises. When you type, you will get click, click, click when you use your mouse. And that's unavoidable because that is carried physically through the hardware equipment into the microphone and moves it around. They also generally capture a lot of room noise. So you'll get reflections from, say, your small office or your large cavernous office, which we all, I'm sure, have. If you have a headset or wireless earbuds or wired earbuds like I have, these are usually going to be an okay option. These are definitely better than using a built-in microphone. Typically, these things are tuned to capture telephone quality audio really well, which is usually fine, right? A good high quality, good connection on the phone is a good enough type of audio source to keep people interested and keep people engaged. Now, of course, this varies really widely depending on whether you're using the earbuds that came with your iPhone or if you're spending money on something a little bit more expensive or professional. But these are definitely a step up. The gold standard, though, is using a standalone microphone. This can be in the form of a USB mic. The standard example, kind of classic, is the Blue Yeti, which plugs right into the USB port on your computer and has its own mount, which insulates it from vibrations from tip, tap, tap on your desk. This could be a standard microphone that would be used for recording that can run in through an audio interface. That's usually takes a little bit more tech knowledge. And this could also be a portable audio recorder. Something that looks like this. You see, this is a stereo recorder. There's a couple of microphones here. You can take this with you to wherever it is that has the best sound quality. Do the recording of the audio that you need. Hold a little script in front of you and just record right into it. Bring this back and pull the file down off of the portable audio recorder. I actually borrowed this from the library here at Worcester. We circulate a couple of portable audio recorders in addition to some other equipment. So check with your local, right, either your library or other libraries in the locality to see if these kinds of things are available. There might also be a recording spot on campus, a booth or a podcast studio or something like that. So I typically actually do a lot of my voiceover recording in the small little podcast room that we have inside the libraries here, because that's where I can get the best microphone and some sonic insulation on the walls. Since we're kind of low on time, I'm going to move through quickly and we can do questions at the end. When it comes to recording, you want to minimize distractions. Record your audio and video separately if you can. When we're trying to do multiple things at once, this quality of both of the things that we're trying to do will suffer. If you can focus on having a script that you read out, record, and bring into the video recording process, you can focus on having a high quality script and having a high quality recording that work together really well, rather than having a middling quality script and a middling quality recording because you were trying to do both of them at once. Eliminating background noise is an obvious one. Portable recorders are great for this because you can just take them to wherever there's less background noise. Speak slowly and enunciate. I am not doing those things right now. If it feels a little bit unnatural, like you're talking just a little bit too slowly and you're hitting your T's and your P's and B's just a little bit too hard, that's good. Especially when it comes to things like accessibility, we want to keep in mind that there may be non-native English speakers listening to you during your recording, and they may need a little bit more time to process. Things like YouTube have speed sliders that if somebody really is bored and wants to speed it up, they can just choose to play at 1.25 times speed and get through things quicker because they can process quicker. Mind your microphone's position. Something that bugs me whenever I listen to NPR is that I can hear their lips as they sort of pronounce things, and it just, maybe this is just me being neurotic, but it makes my skin crawl. So a microphone should be close to your mouth, but it shouldn't be directly in front, and it shouldn't be super close. You want some air in between your mouth and your microphone, and especially for headsets, you want to make sure it's a little bit off center if it's got a mic that's protruding out. That will minimize the kinds of mouth noises that can get very distracting, especially if the content itself is something that's already on the edge of something students might be interested in. Any excuse that they can come up with to not listen to what you're saying and think about something else, they're going to take. Very, very quickly. We did have this scheduled for to go a little bit longer. I apologize. Daniela, are we okay to keep going? Oh no, am I still in the Zoom?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Are we okay to continue, or should I just cut it off here? Because this is going to get into some advanced stuff. Maybe we'll pause for questions.
It's the audience who decides if they want to stay longer or not. So can you show us whether you want to go beyond 2 o'clock or not?
If there are questions, I can answer them now.
We have no questions so far. Okay, by me, one answer. Somebody else says I can stay.
Okay, so for folks who can stay, we'll just soldier on. This is so post-production tools. There's the simple version of this, and there's the complicated version of this, the more advanced version of this. Most screen capture and screencast software is going to give you an option to change your volume up or down of your recorded audio to either bring it up or down. Make sure that you pay attention to this, but before you begin the process of kind of adjusting the volume to where you want it, calibrate your ears. What that means is use the speakers or the headphones that you're going to be using to make that adjustment. Go somewhere else and listen to something to make sure that everything's adjusted to a comfortable volume for you. Countless times I have edited audio and then realized after the fact that the volume was turned way down or the volume was turned way up. And when I go to watch that video under different conditions later on, I either can't hear myself or the sound is so incredibly loud that it's painful after having done another Zoom or watched a YouTube video or something like that. So this is a really important step that you don't want to skip. You can see that this is inside Screencast-O-Matic, that the option that it's giving me here is to normalize my audio. So a quick technical breakdown of what that actually means. There are a couple of different things that you can do to regulate the volume of a piece of audio. Normalizing, which is what Screencast-O-Matic gives me the option to do here, takes the highest peak and kind of makes that equal to the loudest that the audio could be. So you can see beforehand, this peaks out right here, and then after normalization, it peaks out here. What this does not do is bring the loud parts and the quiet parts into line with each other, so there's a consistent, smooth volume. So if you have moved your face around relative to the mic and some parts are quiet and some parts are loud, they'll still be quiet and loud, they'll just be overall a little bit louder. The contrast to this is what is called compression. So compressed audio actually evens out both so that the loud parts are quieter and the quiet parts are louder, so that you have an overall higher volume throughout the entire experience. So you can see the difference between what a normalized and a compressed piece of audio looks like. And you can see that the average volume here is much higher. Compression is we'll get into where you can actually find tools like this, but compression is a very useful tool for increasing the volume of the audio, especially if you're using a microphone or you're in an environment where your levels are really low naturally. Increasing clarity is another thing that you can do with post-processing tools. The main one for this purpose would be equalization, which is referred to as EQ. Essentially, you can see the screenshot here. What you're doing is taking small slices of the frequency range of your audio and making those slices a little louder or a little quieter in order to create a different effect. There's a couple of different things with specifically speech that are rules of thumb that you can use to compensate for otherwise less than ideal recording conditions, like boosting in the sort of mid-high range in order to increase clarity. So you've seen these things. If you are actually interested in trying these out, where do you want to do it? A couple of places. If you are a Mac user, GarageBand has both of these things in it. Built in, they're right there. There's a compressor, and there are, I think, multiple types of equalization options. If you are not a Mac user, or if you just aren't into GarageBand or don't have it installed, there's a tool called Audacity. Audacity is free. It's cross-platform. It allows you to record and edit audio. The screenshots that you've seen here are from Audacity. So it also has built-in compression and equalization plugins that you can use to edit your audio. So in order to give you an example of what kind of a difference this makes, I actually went ahead and recorded myself using this portable audio recorder. I actually recorded in my car because that's it was a nice quiet spot. I intentionally emphasized the processing here. So this is not necessarily something that I would use, but it's an example so you can hear the difference between these kinds of things. And let's see how this works. Let's see if my audio is actually sharing. Let me know if you can hear this.
Zach, I cannot hear anything.
Can't hear it? Okay, so that's all right, because you can just visit the URL down here. I'd encourage you to listen to this on your own device to hear the difference between something that has not been processed and something that has had probably a little bit more than I needed to. Post-processing applied to increase the volume and kind of bring out the clarity of my voice. All right. So go ahead and visit that URL. It's probably better for you to do it on your own device of choice anyway, because that'll be a more authentic experience to what it would actually sound like rather than piping it through a Zoom call. Okay. Thank you very much. I did not put my contact information on here. I realized when Nathaniel had his up that I should have done that, so I apologize. But I can send that out in the chat or something like that.
Thank you to our presenters. I know I learned something today. I'm not keen on doing videos, but you know, sometimes we'll have to do it. We have some comments. Wow, thanks. I was just thinking about stepping up my game from recording a Zoom session. Perhaps I need a more beginner's version of this presentation. Yeah, you'll have their contact information and you can contact them directly. Sorry, I'm giving you more work to do.
I let myself get a little bit carried away because I was up on my soapbox there, but this is just a dip of the toe into the kinds of things that are possible.
Yep.
Yeah, and only good comments. Thanks, good advice. This was great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Thank you. As we said, the presentations were recorded and we will make available on STEMIG website the recording and the PowerPoint presentations, right?
Yes.
Yes. And with that, I think we thank everybody for participating. And if you have any questions, you can reach out directly to the two presenters.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for everyone who stuck around.
Yes. Okay.
All right, have a great day, everybody.
Yep.